Hello, movie lovers. Happy 2025. I'm Adam. This is Does It Hold Up? And here is the first box office video of the new year. Not a lot happened over this past weekend. In fact, the top 10 movies are exactly the same. There were no big releases this past weekend, so everything's kind of the same. And at the end of the show, I know last week I said, or maybe it was one of our other videos, I mentioned how I was going to break down the month of January, just going back through history, but that's going to happen next week because I had a few thoughts that I wanted to share with you about two very specific movies that are currently in theaters and some of the stuff happening around them. As always on this show, we are going to start with the top 10 movies at this past weekend's box office. In first place, after 2 weeks in second place, is Mufasa the Lion King with $23.4 million. It is a grand total right now of $168.2 million domestically. It jumped over Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which falls to second place in its third week, but they are relatively close. In fact, only about $2.1 million separates them, because Sonic brought in $21.3 million, and its grand total right now is $187.6 million. In its second week, Nosferatu stays in third place with another $13 million for a grand total right now of $69.3 million. That's one of the movies we're going to talk about here at the end of the show. In fourth place, jumping back into fourth place actually in its sixth week, is Moana 2 with $12.5 million, and that is a hell of a domestic haul. $425.2 million for a movie that was originally going to be a Disney Plus exclusive TV show. This was going to be a series, 10 episodes, however long it was going to be, and last minute they decided, you know what, why don't we change that and make it into a movie? And somehow it worked. You can definitely tell watching this movie that it should have been a TV show. There's some things where it just kind of like rushes through it, and if they had episodes, they would be able to fill it out more. But for something that changed last minute, that's really impressive. In fifth place in its seventh week is Wicked with just under $10 million for a domestic gross of $450.5 million. In sixth place in its second week, in fact, 6 through 10, everything stayed exactly the same. A Complete Unknown is still in sixth place with another $8.1 million. Its domestic total is $41.8 million. The movie's fine. I've heard it's good. The music is really what stands out, but could be why it's not doing as well as expected. In seventh place still is Baby Girl in its second weekend with another $4.5 million. Its grand total is $16.1 million. What's interesting about Baby Girl is last week, it made $4.490 million. This week, it made $4.492 million. It's only about $2,000 more, which is good. It went up on its gross more than last week. Literally pretty much no change. Still in eighth place is Gladiator 2 in week 7 with another $2.6 million. Very good domestic total here for that movie, $168.8 million. In ninth place is Homestead, also in its third week, which this is not a movie that probably should be in the top 10 this long, but with nothing new coming out, not surprising. It made just over $2 million. Its domestic total is $17.3 million. And rounding out the top 10 in its second week is The Fire Inside with another $1.18 million. It has a domestic total of just over $7 million. Okay, this next chart is going to look a little weird because you're probably used to a big long line stretching out across it, and you'll still get that. But it's the weekend to weekend comparison chart. But instead of doing 23 to 24, we are now switching over to 24 to 25. So the black line here, the chart looks a little bit different than it did last week. The black line all the way across is all the weekends of 2024. The green dot is 2025. And yes, it's only a dot right now. It'll become a line as we get more and more weekends in. But let's go ahead and take a look at what it looks like. It's the first weekend of the calendar year. And last year in 2024, Wonka led the way with $85.9 million. And here in 2025, had a lot of strong holds for the holiday season. So the first weekend in 2025 actually grossed $103.6 million. Quite a strong debut compared to last year. I feel as if 2025 might start out much stronger than 2024, but you can see there's a lot of very high peaks last year. The 24th weekend, the 30th weekend, and even towards the end of the year in that 48th weekend. Can 2025 get peaks like that is going to be the real challenge. All right, we have two top 10 charts, yearly top 10 charts. One for 2024, it's going to be the last time we look at it, but just wanted to update some numbers. And then we're going to jump into the 2025 top 10 movies. The first one, 2024. Nothing changed. This was the final top 10 of 2024. The only thing that changed on this chart was Wicked and Moana 2's gross numbers. Yes, they look a little different than their total gross because we were only counting the money made in that calendar year. Here's your top 10. Inside Out 2, followed by Deadpool 3, Wicked, Moana 2 in 4th, Despicable Me 4 in 5th, followed by Beetlejuice 2, Dune Part 2, Twisters, Godzilla Kong The New Empire, and Kung Fu Panda 4. How is our top 10 going to look this year compared to that? That's some pretty good grosses for movies that kind of came out of nowhere, like Twisters or Moana 2, because it was supposed to be a TV show. So it's going to be very interesting to see what 2025 looks like, and let's take a look. As of right now, we are only counting money made in 2025, so from January 1st through the making of this chart. Here's what the top 10 currently looks like. Mufasa the Lion King sits in first place with just over 40 million. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 in second place with 36. Moana 2 in third place with 21. Nosferatu in fourth place also with 21 million. They're separated by about $14,000, but Moana 2's been out a lot longer, not surprising. Wicked sits in fifth place with about 17.5 million. A Complete Unknown, 13 million in sixth place. Baby Girl in 7th with 7 million. Gladiator 2 in 8th with 4.2. Homestead in 9th with 3.3 million. And The Fire Inside with 2 million is in 10th. That is almost exactly the order of this past weekend's top 10. The only change is that Moana 2's in 3rd instead of Nosferatu, but that probably will change as time goes on. Okay. At the beginning of the show, I said I wanted to talk about two movies in particular. And those two movies were two of the top 5. The first one is Nosferatu. This movie is doing phenomenally well. It's made about $70 million here domestically. It's made $100 million, over $100 million internationally, worldwide. And it was made for a budget of about $50 million. The movie was marketed pretty well. We used to do this on the show where we would break down how much a movie cost to make, how much they spent to market it, and then see if it was profitable in the theatrical run. Well, this one I can tell you is most likely going to end up profitable during its run in theaters. But here's my biggest worry. This is a small film. Yes, the budget was $50 million, but that's mostly because you have some really talented, really well-known actors in it who probably ate up a good portion of that budget. At the end of the day, though, this is a very artsy, mid-budget film that's going to make a lot of money in theaters. And it's going to make money for the studios as well. And here is where my dilemma lies. Studios are going to take away the wrong lessons from the success of Nosferatu. We've seen it in the past, we will continue to see it, and I just don't understand why it continues to happen. Instead of studios looking at this and going, if we make some $50 million movies, but like really good $50, $40, $60 million movies, we can make a really good profit in theaters. Like, we can be successful. Instead, theaters always seem to take away, studios, not theaters. I'm so riled up, I can't even speak. Studios usually take away the lesson, though, of, Eggers made a film and it's going to be profitable, so we're going to hire him to make another film and we're going to give him $200 million to do it. And we want another vampire film. We want another Nosferatu. We want Nosferatu Part 2, but with a $200 million budget. Because if this one at $50 million budget made money in theaters, what would a $200 million budget do? It's going to make all the money. It's going to be a $200 billion grosser. That's just not how it works. First of all, you have to make a good film. And second of all, does it really ever matter on budget? I've seen some incredibly low budget films with some amazing CGI. And I've seen some really high budget films with some terrible CGI. Thor, Love and Thunder, awful. So it's not really about the budget that goes into a film. But when small movies like this are very successful, I feel like studios take away all the wrong lessons from it. And I'm worried that going forward, we're going to stop seeing these mid-budget films because all of the directors that like to make these smaller budgets will eventually get enticed by the studios to make the big budget films for them. And that's all wrong. So Disney, Universal, Warner Brothers, Sony, all of you, stop doing this. If a movie like Nosferatu does really well at theaters and it becomes profitable for the studio, what you need to learn from that is make more movies like Nosferatu. That doesn't mean flood the market with vampire movies. That means make high quality, entertaining, really gripping, audience-catching, attention-grabbing films for like $50 million. Don't pay The Rock $40 million to be in your movie. Pay a different actor, much smaller amount, and make it mid-budget. But at the end of the day, just make it good. Okay, that's what I wanted to say about Nosferatu. The other movie I want to talk about is Wicked. First of all, I saw Wicked, watched it, did not care for it at all. If you like this movie, that's awesome. I'm very happy that you found a movie that you love. I just couldn't get behind it, and I'm so shocked it made $450 million. I know it's a beloved musical, beloved stage musical. I don't think it translated well to film, and I don't think some of the actors were all that good in it, but that's besides the point. The point is, on December 31st, it was released for at-home rental and at-home purchase. Okay. It made just under $10 million this past weekend, the weekend after it was available to watch at home. Now imagine if they hadn't put it available at home, that $10 million could have been 12, 13, 15, higher, because you're just separating your audience at this point. If there are people out there who are waiting for this movie to come to home video before they watched it, they will watch it whenever it gets to home video. So if you would have released it on streaming, available for purchase, rent, VOD, at the end of January, those same people still would have watched it. But all the studio did was say, if you were thinking about going to the theater, well, we made it very easy for you. You can just stay home. So all the people who were like, this is the weekend, this is the time I'm going to go see Wicked, the theaters have died down a little bit, everybody's kind of moved on from it, I'm going to sneak in and I'm going to watch it. And then you just gave them the opportunity to watch it from home instead. And you're costing yourself money. I understand you might get a higher profit from the at-home stuff, but is that really how that works? You don't really release the numbers on that. Because if you're releasing it to Google, the Play Store, and somebody rents it from there, you have to split the profit with them, just as if you were splitting the profit with theaters. So I don't understand why they did that. Why they do it with so many movies. Hell, Kraven the Hunter isn't even available at home purchase and rental yet, and that movie's completely failing. That's the type of movie that you put at home early for people to watch because they don't want to go to the theater to see it. But Wicked, that movie, which is doing phenomenally well, it's weird to see that they released it home already. Stop doing it. Make people go back to the theaters. That's where movies were made to be seen. That's it for my 2 rants about 2 very different movies and how studios are currently handling them. That's it for the show. Yeah, that's it. First box office of 2025 in the can. We'll be back again later this week with an Oscar redux going to the year 2014. We are slowly catching up to the modern Oscars. Also, we'll be back again next Tuesday with another box office roundup and some more stuff in between. So like, share, subscribe so you never miss a video from us. And until I see you again, remember to be good to yourself, kind to others, and keep watching movies.